Meow. Meow. Really, Bear Man? That was a cat. Oh, you could blame it on my autism. What the heck? Okay, this is Cadillac, 1990. It's got a 273. The first smart engine. Very well designed, except when the car got hit, I had lost some ground connections. Pardon the noise. And so there's parts of the wire harness that came loose, hit the exhaust, so I fixed that. I also made a video about the fuel pressure regulator and how to put a nut and bolt, and then you could drop the old one out, put a new one in less than a half hour versus a 6.1 hour job. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit about autism, but oh well. GM implemented a small design on a brain box many years ago when I worked for K40 in American Research and Engineering. I was referred out doing part-time work. This Apple motherboard has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It just happens to be sitting there. And so I mentioned a 273 that was originally built for the 1965 Barracuda. I just happen to have a Barracuda in front of me. So, hey, this video is looking pretty good, isn't it? So, I have two hot rods, two Plymouths, a 37 and a 65, and that's kind of in honor of Chrysler Corporation that gave me the software to program some C code and or batch files into the OBD2 or ALDL or into this brain box itself. So I try to make use of my assets instead of my liabilities, whether it's Parkinson's or what. Okay, the good news is if I retire tomorrow, I'll get $20,000 a year from what I made for either GM and, of course, Toyota. Toyota implemented the design from 1993. I think Toyota started using that design in 1994. Oh, heck, I'm trying to remember. GM was 93 and then Toyota 94, and it was just basically a on the brain box, the eyelets and the connectors that the solder would come loose. I just found a little bit better way, and then I got referred out to other jobs. So basically, so I'm partially talking about CadillacOwners.com, but I'm also talking about when you're partially disabled, whatever. It's just a matter of finding other ways. I went back to school, and I was a part-time engineer, and when my mom got sick, I actually paid her health insurance for 9.5 months. That's just how it was. So I was kind of limited on being able to travel and things like that. So, but I feel good about being able to make use of my assets, like I said a minute ago. So, oh geez. So with the autism, I'm kind of limited on how to communicate. And I remember my boss Sandy had to reiterate and paraphrase, especially when my friend Lenny, he was the one of the engineers at Motorola, and I had to write blueprints, and I didn't know how to do blueprints. I had other engineers. I was one of 7 engineers, and I got lucky, very lucky, to do a few for General Motors. Lenny was on board when he worked for Motorola, when I had some other K40 stuff with a control head and radar stuff that was for Lamborghinis, and I saw a Lamborghini here in Manitou Springs that has my K40 radar in it. Kind of cool, but mainstream is like GM and Toyota doing other stuff. So I'm all over the board, but hey, they call me the mad scientist engineer. I got paid pretty well, but I can't touch any of this stuff until I retire. But with the onset of Parkinson's, and then more medical tests and blood work, endless, I could retire like in a week or two. But then the bad part is the health insurance is going to, already be $9,800 per year, and then when I get my full retirement, the health insurance will go up to about $12,000 a year. So that cuts that in half, doesn't it? Okay, so I just feel good about my assets. I also work on Apple computers. That is an 8-processor motherboard that I'm going to install into a Mac. And the hot rod thing is kind of a hobby, but it's also my line of work, being able to program these brain boxes. And then I also work on BMWs and Saabs. So all over the board here. I'm in Manitou Springs, Colorado, and I'm almost 60 and just dealing with all these other issues. The Parkinson's has advanced, and so I have good days and I have bad days, so the jobs do take longer. Okay, 5 minutes running. I'm also from KFUY, Panbara Radio. I wrote the app, and I wrote the flash player on the page. or you go on Facebook, and I wrote the app for Facebook as well. Crazy stuff. So, you know, we got to remain teachable here. So maybe this video is a little bit about Cadillacs and a little bit about hope and a little bit about accomplishments, and maybe we can encourage each other. I'm not trying to sound prideful. And again, I feel lucky. My friends say that I deserve the retirement from General Motors and Toyota, so I worked hard, part-time, but, you know, nonetheless. So there you have it. Almost 6 minutes on the video. If you made it this far, you're sick. Just kidding. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of people have asked for another video, so this is it. Bye.